Fujifilm's multi-aspect ratio, compact, medium format, wide-angle, leaf shutter rangefinder. The GF670W is one of my all-time favorite cameras for street, travel, and everyday photography. A camera I always hoped would get a digital successor, and at first glance, the GFX100RF seems to bear a striking resemblance in terms of design language and specs, but the way these two cameras want you to use them and the way that they will impact your photography seems to be worlds apart. I'm David, and this is the whole picture. Fuji's legacy of innovation spans most of photographic history, and the GFX100RF continues to push the boundaries, being one of the first fixed-lens, large-sensor compact cameras to market. Sharing similar benefits we see from the GF670W, like the ability to maintain uncompromising image quality in a very compact size by marrying a medium format body with a tailored lens. But while the GF670W has a clear use case for me, the GFX100RF seems more conflicted on what it wants you to use it for. The RF in its name and its design language hints at a style and subject matter rangefinders are beloved for, yet it lacks some of the key functionality I've come to expect in this category of cameras. While the automation, digital zoom, aspect ratio switching, and film simulation modes all seem to encourage in-camera JPEG shooting, but we're not talking about some kind of Instamatic here. The GFX100RF is a 102 megapixel powerhouse with really high-end features. In the modern day, terms like rangefinder and even SLR have come to define the body styling of a camera more than its actual functionality, but rangefinder status comes from more than just a sleek look, and has more to do with how they affect your photography. Rangefinder cameras are about focus, not just in their precision mechanics, but in how they shape the entire photographic process. Their design demands deliberate action from the photographer, and with time, the tactile operation becomes second nature, allowing for more complex visual storytelling at a moment's notice that I found is kind of difficult to achieve on other types of camera platforms. Rangefinders have appeared in everything from 4x5 to instant or even consumer cameras, and they weren't always built into the bodies themselves or integrated into a viewfinder. The iconic design of rangefinders is in many ways a byproduct of the constraints analog mechanics impose on designers. That's what makes co-opting of the term rangefinder frustrating when digital doesn't necessarily have to have the same restrictions. Something like minimum focus distances or varieties of frame lines can be overcome with technology. The real issue in my mind is the loss of robust tactile and repeatable manual focus techniques in favor of more of the styling cues that don't really carry as much weight, functionally speaking. If you aren't interested in that kind of experience, but still want a compact, high-quality camera, there are plenty of examples that retain a small size and many of the benefits we see in rangefinders, but with a different approach to photographing. Now, more than ever, premium compact cameras are extremely popular, not just for their size, but for their semi-auto or full auto shooting style, with one of the best examples being Fuji's own GA645 series of compact medium format film cameras. Like the GFX100RF, the GA645 offers uncompromising medium format quality, but with the convenience of an automated camera being front and center. At the same time, the viewfinder still offers parallax-corrected frame lines like we see in a rangefinder, but its design inherently changes the way that you photograph by streamlining the experience, hiding functionality when you don't need it, yet still allowing us to access robust manual controls when we do. Elegantly, this film camera only has one dial, which is used to adjust everything from manual focus, shutter speed, or even exposure compensation, making for a really intuitive way to adjust your settings that doesn't distract from the unique experience these kinds of automated cameras are so loved for, offering a workflow that is still distinct from rangefinders, but something that I think would translate really well to a digital camera. Fuji could have gone in this direction, making the GFX100RF a true successor to the GA645, streamlining dials and controls to fully embrace automation for a sleek, intuitive experience, which is very much in line with Fuji's modern philosophy of doing things in camera. And I feel very similarly about the X100 series. Despite its hybrid viewfinder technology, my tendency is to use it more like an aperture priority, compact point-and-shoot camera. Fuji's Class A series actually comes to mind, and I think there's definitely a market for a modernized digital Class A or GA645 style of camera. Or Fuji could have leaned into what makes rangefinder so unique and provided us a more authentic, tactile, manual-first experience. Modern lens design and autofocus systems do make it challenging to incorporate a traditional manual focus experience, especially when talking about such a small lens, but I don't see why software couldn't be used, kind of paired with a manual focus scale printed on the barrel of a lens, to emulate a more traditional experience. Fuji themselves has done something similar in the past with lenses that feature a focus clutch, and so do companies like Panasonic, Olympus, and Hasselblad. Even with a digital finder instead of an optical one, I think something like this could have been an opportunity for Fuji to bring the rangefinder mentality into the modern day while still evoking legendary cameras like the GF670W and TX series. But when you split the difference trying to be both an advanced point and shoot and a precision tool at the same time, you often end up with something that doesn't really satisfy on either side. Camera design and ergonomics in many ways shapes our identities as photographers. But more importantly, it does have an impact on the images we create. When we're talking about analog cameras, different limitations created by the distinct mechanics of each camera lend themselves to one style over another. But as the digital camera becomes more and more homogenized, terms like SLR or rangefinder feel more like a marketing tool than a tool for making images. In the process, our control over one of the most valuable functions of the camera, focus, is constantly being overlooked for retro-inspired gimmicks or maybe just to keep the status quo. It's not just the cameras with great looks or precise mechanics that remain relevant today, but also all the fun and unique designs that redefined what it meant to be a camera and a photographer. Anyways, if you're still watching, thank you so much for listening to my rant. Maybe you feel similarly about the state of modern camera design. While the GFX100RF seems like a really interesting camera and definitely Fuji is pushing the boundaries once again, I felt like this was as good of an opportunity as ever to put out some thoughts that I've had for many years now. So I hope you found it to be interesting and informative. And as always, thank you so much for watching.